Hi friends, welcome back. We are talking today about expanding and condensing logs. If you did not see my previous video with those rules, here's another opportunity for you to write those down, copy them down. You're going to need to know them. Remember, multiplication means addition, division means subtraction, and the power property just means that you're going to boot that exponent or that power to the front. So let's talk about why we need to use these. How can we use these? Let's look at the first one here. We have expand. So for example 1, expand logarithm. 6 times x to the third, y to the fifth, z. Now the very first thing I want to do here is I see that there is some multiplication involved. I want to expand this out, which means I'm adding logarithms to it. So for each one of these that I'm multiplying, remember, multiplication means addition. So let's rewrite this guy. We have log 6 plus log x to the third plus log y to the fifth plus log z. Okay, so now that we've got those expanded out and we've added some logarithms, I see that we can do this power property. And when we're expanding, generally the power property comes last. Not always, but it's a good idea to think about that at the end. And I see that we have a power here, this guy right here, and this guy right here. So we're going to rewrite it as log 6 plus 3 log x, because you'll see that I booted that power to the front, plus 5 log y plus log z. And that is your fully expanded form of this condensed version right here. So there's your expanded form and there's of that condensed version. Let's try another one. Okay, log base 3 of the square root 9x. So the first thing I want to do whenever you see a radical in these is you've got to get rid of that radical. So let's rewrite that. Log base 3, and instead of 9x, square root of 9x, I'm going to say 9x to the 1/2 power. Because remember, we can take, if we had something like the cube root of x squared, remember that's the same thing as saying x2 to the 3rd power, because we take that cube root and we boot it to the back. Okay, so with that said, now I can distribute that 1/2 to both the 9 and the x. I think that might be helpful. So log base 3, 9 to the 1/2 times x to the 1/2. And in order to expand it out to add a logarithm in, I have to remember multiplication means addition. So log base 3, and while I'm going to be doing that addition, remember 9 to the 1/2 power, that's really just saying the square root of 9. So this right here becomes 3. Plus log x to the 1/2 power. That's supposed to be to the power. It kind of looks a little wonky there. Now, let's look at this guy. Log base 3 of 3. That simplifies down to 1. That's it. That's just a rule that you should remember. Then plus, and you'll see that I have an exponent here. And remember, the power rule tells us boot that guy to the front. So 1/2 log x. And that is your expanded version of that condensed original problem. So now let's talk about condensing logs. Okay, so we've got this guy that's expanded out. How can we go about condensing this one? When you're condensing, I think the first thing that you should do is look for any powers and boot those back to the back. So I see that like this 5 right here can be booted to here, and this 1/3 can be booted to here. So if I do that, I get log base 7, 2x to the 5th power. Remember to keep those in parentheses because that 5 applies to both the 2 and the x. Minus log base 7 of 5x plus 1 to the 1/3 power. Okay, now 1/3 power is the same as the cube root, and 2, if I wanted to do this guy, expand it out, I would have 2 to the 5th, which is 32. So I have log base 7 32x to the 5th minus log base 7, the cube root of 5x plus 1. So sometimes it makes sense to leave this as a fraction. Sometimes it makes sense to do this. It's personal preference. You see what the possible answers are. Okay, now remember, so we're condensing, and when we're condensing, we want to get down to just one logarithm. And I see 2 logs here, so I have to condense. Remember, subtraction means division. So log base 7, 32x to the 5th divided by cube root of 5x plus 1. I see a lot of kids are usually tempted to write it like all of this and then put the log base 7 cube root of x 5x plus 1. Don't do that. When you are switching between subtraction and division or multiplication and addition, when you're condensing, you're trying to get rid of those logarithms. So you don't want to be adding those in there. So when you switch those up, make sure to get rid of one of your logs. This would be the condensed version because now we're down to exactly 1 logarithm. So we have condensed this all the way down. Hopefully that helps, and we'll see you next time.